Every time I step onto the rec courts, I see so many of the same mistakes over and over, leading to lost games, lost rallies, and pretty upset teams.
Oftentimes, these mistakes can be pretty easily avoided, and in this video, we're gonna show you 15 common mistakes and how to fix them. So let's get into it.
Now, the first mistake that I see over and over again that's just absolutely killing teams is giving teams a short serve. Let me show you what happens if I serve a short ball to my opponents. When I serve a short ball to my opponents, all of a sudden, that gives my team a very hard return. Now remember, the whole point is to get to the kitchen. So if I serve short, I'm putting my team at a huge disadvantage. So instead of just thinking, oh, I want to get my serve in, I want you to think, I want to get my serve in the back fourth of a court. That way, I'm making the return really difficult for my opponent, giving my team the easier shot.
The next mistake we often see amongst players is kind of the opposite of the serve, and it's that when people return the ball, they just try to get their return in. And while in is better than out, you can win a lot of points by getting your return nice and deep, because it makes their hardest shot in the game, which is the third shot, even harder for people. So if I'm gonna get a serve from my opponent, if I just try to get it in, that ball is landing like halfway through. They can come up and they can crush that ball. But if I use my legs and I contact the ball with forward momentum, now I'm gonna penetrate that really deep, and it's gonna make it really hard for them to get into the line. It's gonna also help me approach the kitchen line with ease. And remember, that's the most advantageous place to be in the game.
Now, if you're the serving team, I need you to listen up, because this will help you get so many points. And it's making sure that you move up when you see your opponent's paddle tip down. Let me explain. A big mistake serving teams do on their third shot drop or drive is they'll hit a good drop or drive, and the opponent will have their paddle tip down, meaning it's a defensive position. They can only hit the ball up, but your team stays back. You don't move forward. And what that does is it takes away your opportunity to get to the kitchen, because remember, the kitchen line is the best place to play. So to fix this mistake, it's actually really easy. I want you to observe your opponent's paddle position when you are hitting your third shot drop. So what it's gonna look like is you're gonna get a drop or drive. See how my opponent's paddle tip went down? That's why I moved forward. So instead of responding by either always staying back or always crashing in, crash in when you see your opponent's paddle tip down, stay back if you see their paddle tip up. That's gonna be one of the biggest cheat codes to help you and your teammate get to the kitchen at the right time.
The next mistake I see is people that come from tennis or that have a really big drive try to drive the ball multiple times in a row when probably they shouldn't. Now, again, there are times, yes, if the ball sits up in transition and you get your feet set, go ahead and drive it on the 5th or the 7th. But a lot of times you're setting up an easier drop for yourself by driving the ball, and you want to take advantage of that. So if I'm back here and I'm driving the ball, all I'm really trying to do is just kind of hit a 70% shot that I can come in and easily drop to the kitchen. A mistake I often see is that people will hit that good drive, they'll get the response they look for, and then they'll come up and try to crush another one. So a good rule of thumb is to not drive back to back unless you really get a sitter. Try to drive to set up the drop, not just keep banging the ball at your opponent. This is gonna help you win way more points.
This next mistake, a lot of beginner and intermediate players make, and it often loses them points, especially if they're the serving team. And it has to do when you serve and then you step into the court. Now I'm gonna show you what happens if I serve and I step in the court and I get a good return. So I serve, and if I step in, all of a sudden, I might have to back up if that return's coming on me with a lot of pace. So instead of immediately serving and then kind of creeping in the court, what I want you to do instead is serve and stay. And what this is gonna look like if I get a good return is I'm gonna serve, I'm gonna stay back, and now I actually have the ability to move with my momentum going forward instead of being pushed on my back foot. That's gonna help me hit a way more aggressive third shot drop or drive.
Another mistake people often make is that they try to be too perfect with their third shot drop and they flirt with the net. But remember, the net is the worst place you can hit the ball because you don't even give yourself a chance. You can hit a terrible drop and they could still miss it. So again, make sure you give yourself some margin over the net, and then you can always hit the 5th or the 7th and get the next ball into a better position for yourself. So when you're hitting the ball, this is what a lot of people do. They really try to hit a perfect shot, getting it to dip, and it dips right into the net. Instead, when you're hitting that shot, give yourself some good margin. And even if I leave it up a little bit, I can always come in and hit the next one, or I can always come in and work my way up to the net that way. And that's gonna put yourself in a much better position to get to the net. A lot of people want to avoid this middle section, but you can always hit another one. So again, give yourself some margin. Even though I hit it high, I can always hit a ball from in here and work my way up that way.
I see this mistake all the time when players are dinking at the kitchen line, and it's when they hit a speed up on their back foot. What that does is that's gonna just pop the ball up, and you'll either hit it out or you'll give your opponent a great pop up. And you really don't wanna do that. So instead, if you are going to choose a ball to speed up, choose one where you're already balanced and your momentum is actually forward. This way, when you hit the speed up, your ball's gonna stay in, and your speed up will inherently be more aggressive. So make sure you don't rock on your back foot and have your chest facing up on the sky whenever you speed up the ball at the kitchen line.
The next mistake that's absolutely killing people's games is that when they get pulled out wide or off balance and they're trying to reset or hit a defensive dink, they'll just kind of dink the ball up the line instead of dinking the ball to the middle. But if you just kind of reset this ball up the line, if your partner knows what they're doing, they're gonna come crash and Ernie that ball. So when you're kind of pulled out wide, a great place to reset the ball is right into the middle of the court. So watch what happens if I get pulled out this way and I just try to reset down the line. She's gonna come Ernie it. So a much safer thing to do is if I'm trying to hit that reset dink, I always wanna take a ball, hit me out wide. So what I'm trying to do is if I get out here, I'm trying to take that ball to the middle of the court to avoid the Ernie. So a great rule of thumb is if you get in trouble in a dink rally, soft to the middle.
This next mistake is something I learned from a high-level player, and it's coming back to a balanced position in between shots. So let me show you. A lot of times what players will do is they'll hit a dink and they'll kind of like cheat and kind of keep their weight on whatever foot. Now, what the opponent can do is they can see that and totally get me in trouble by either pulling me wide or whatever because I'm signaling to them, I think the ball is coming here. Now, what you want to do instead is in between every shot, don't give away where you think the ball is going. Come back to a balanced position. So hit your shot and then get back to a balanced position. Hit your shot, get back to a balanced position. What that's gonna do, A, not give your opponent away where you think the ball is going, but two, it's also gonna allow you to maneuver and kind of have a more explosive step in either direction. So when you're dinking, always come back to a balanced position and don't catch yourself leaning on one or the other foot.
When I first started playing pickleball, people told me get to the kitchen line. So naturally, I would sprint like a bull in a china shop as fast as I could trying to get to the line, but I would often be out of control, and if they were to hit the ball back at my feet, I would totally miss it or pop it up. And so somebody told me once to be under more control and to not move so aggressively through the transition zone by using what's called a split step. So in order to utilize a split step, you might take your third, you might transition, and then you might stop before you hit the next ball. And a good rule of thumb here is I want to make sure I'm stopped and ready before my opponent contacts the ball. If I'm moving forward while they contact the ball and that ball comes anywhere to my feet, I'm probably going to pop it up. If you watch some of the best players in the world, you'll notice that they look like they're moving in slow motion and just easily making their way to the net, and that's because they're not afraid to split step and hit a ball in transition. So again, I'm gonna hit one from back here, Oh shoot, I'm gonna stay back, I'm gonna hit one. Okay, now I'm gonna come up, oh, I'm gonna stop. And I'm getting in myself in a nice position, in a nice stance, in an athletic position, ready for the ball before my opponent ever hits it. Do that to win more pickleball points.
This next mistake is a really small thing, but it actually makes a huge difference when it comes to balance and consistency with dinking. A lot of players will make the mistake of kind of keeping this arm kind of at their body, and what ends up happening is they'll dink and all of a sudden they're super off balance. Now, a way to kind of fix that, and something the pros do really well, is they utilize this opposite arm. So what this will look like is you kind of have this arm out, and now all of a sudden you're able to really create great spacing between you and the ball. This will give you more aggressive dinks, and it will help you stay on balance and help to keep you from leaning or tipping over or having your weight backwards when you're dinking. Use this hack. I promise you, you will win more dink rallies.
The next thing you should do in order to win more pickleball points and make less mistakes on the court is to move together as a unit with your partner when you're transitioning from the baseline to the kitchen. Now, sure, there are times at the higher level where she might be released to go pressure them while I hit a drop that's more aggressive, or a drive to kind of shake and bake. There are times when I might be released to go be a presence in the middle of the court. But at the intermediate to beginner level, it's very important that you should pretend like there's a 10-foot rope kind of tethering you in between you and your partner, so that you're moving together up to the court. Because what happens is if I'm hitting a drop and I leave it up and my partner goes up, now there's this big gap in the court. So what you should do instead, again, to close that gap, is move up and back together. Now, how do you do that? So scoot back with me. What's really helpful is if I tell my partner, if I'm the one hitting the ball, I should be telling my partner to come with me or to stay back with me, because I probably know how good my shot was. If I have a bad shot, I might say stay, stay, stay. If I have a shot that I think is gonna land in the kitchen, I'm gonna say come, 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 or go, go, go. And that's gonna help us close gaps on the court and win way more pickleball points. So remember that 10-foot rope to eliminate those big gaps on the pickleball court.
If you're tired of making the mistake of hitting your balls out when you're volleying at the kitchen line, then this tip is for you. Something I often see when people volley a ball is they'll take a huge backswing and all of a sudden that ball's just flying out. You have to remember, when you're at the kitchen line, you don't need a huge backswing, and oftentimes it actually causes a lot of mistakes like out balls, or you're late because all of a sudden your big backswing requires a big follow through. The best pros in the game have very short and compact follow throughs and backswings. So next time that you're volleying at the kitchen line, make it your goal to have a super compact backswing. I even try to not take my paddle behind the kitchen line. What that does is it makes my shot super compact, and it's gonna stay in every time. So here's what it could look like.
The next mistake I often see when people are speeding the ball up at the kitchen line is that they kind of don't speed up to a particular location. They just try to hit it at their partner or try to hit it down the middle. And in fact, there's much better locations of where you should aim to get that pop-up that you're looking for. Now, a lot of people, if she's here at the kitchen line and she's using and defending with her backhand, she can cover from here all the way to kind of right here, and definitely over here with her backhand, but her forehand, she's probably only gonna cover this area. So there's this spot kind of right here from the right hip to the right shoulder. The right shoulder would kind of be what we call a chicken wing. And this is a very awkward spot. She doesn't really know, do I hit a forehand, do I hit a backhand? Or even at this hip right here, it's lower, so she is a lot less likely to get on top of it. And again, she's like, I don't know, do I hit this backhand or do I slide and hit this forehand? And aiming to the paddle side hip or shoulder is a great spot because, again, they don't really know what shot they're going to hit. And when you aim to these locations, you're gonna get a lot more pop-ups. So again, if I am here and I'm going to just aim the ball to the middle, she can sit on this ball and she can really dominate me with that ball because she's really able to get her paddle extended and really come down on that shot. But if I aim to this location kind of on this side of her body, right there, I hit her right hip, and she kind of didn't know, like, do I hit a backhand or do I hit a forehand? So good players, they have specific locations that they aim. Well, maybe she's really good at that shot, and so I want to change my location up, kind of jam into the body, or get her overextended in a different way. But don't just aimlessly speed the ball up. Actually try to pick locations, and you'll win way more points.
This last mistake happens all the time, and it's partners not communicating on the middle ball. I see this most of the time when it comes to the third shot. So your team will be at the baseline, a third shot will come, and all of a sudden nobody really kind of gets it. We look at each other, we're a little mad, like that should have been your ball. But the reality is, we didn't communicate. So it's really important when you're playing with especially a new partner that you've never played with before, that you make it a priority to communicate about who gets the middle ball. Maybe you're thinking, oh, hey, like your forehand's in the middle, why don't you get the middle ball? Or maybe you have an understanding of if it's crossing this plane at this diagonal line, then I get it. But either way, make it your priority that when a ball comes, somebody says mine, yours, and you both kind of have that conversation. I promise you, you will eliminate so many errors if you simply communicate with your partner on the middle ball. If you learned something new, make sure you like this video and smash that subscribe button.
And we'll see you on the next one.
Ah!